Welcome to this video on data aggregation. In this video, I want to specifically show you how you can use Kofax RPA to quickly and correctly gather information and data from any source you might want. But before we deep dive into Kofax RPA, I want to quickly talk about Kofax Intelligent Automation and the role Kofax RPA plays within that. Kofax Intelligent Automation is, of course, a suite of intelligent applications that partners, human talent with this digital workforce that you see right here to truly transform business processes within the enterprise, to truly achieve digital workflow transformation, which means that organizations are then truly capable of transforming business processes from start to finish. And we have then summarized that in three overarching capabilities. On the one hand, you will need to have document intelligence. And that is, of course, extremely relevant if you keep in mind that 80% of all content within organizations, whether it's at rest or coming into an organization, is unstructured. So we want to, gather all the information from there that we can then use. You will need to have connected systems. You need to make sure that everything is integrated within the organization, but also beyond the confines of that by leveraging an ecosystem that we have within our Smart Hub. And you'll also need to have process orchestration. So you need to have a capability there to build that actual workflow, to truly partner, your human talent with the capabilities that you see here. And then last but not least, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is task automation. So how can you truly get the robot out of the human being and make sure that that robot can then take care of things like, for instance, data aggregation? That's what we're going to be talking about. So where do we actually see that happening? Where do we see robots going out and gather information from a plethora of sources? Well, I've collected some use cases. There are many more, but I've chosen these because these are the best known and maybe some lesser known as well. But truly the most successful RPA application of data aggregation can be found within customer due diligence, or KYC, know your customer, but also within AML and money laundering investigations, where you would need to have a lot of data being gathered from internal and external sources, whether it's a bad press research, a Google search, a credit check, you name it. But all of that needs to be gathered before you can actually be onboarded as a customer at a bank or an insurer or any sort of financial services institution. We also see this with competitive analysis, where it could be that Target is investigating the prices on Amazon or vice versa, but they want to have real-time insight into that. So they will have a need for robots to do that. But also competitive analysis on yearly annual reports. Bring that back into the organization as well. But then, of course, within the organization, you also have a lot of back office processes that are ripe for automation, whether it's yearly reporting, whether it's customer onboarding, but also within HR. And one of the lesser known applications is OSINT, which stands for Open Source Intelligence. And that is where law enforcement or intelligence agencies utilize robotics to crawl the web and gather information on people of interest. So in order to do all those things that we just talked about, what will you need? You need to have a way to truly enable a citizen developer to build these robots, and you don't want to bother IT with bot development. You need to have central bot execution because you want to have a scalable solution, and you don't want to have a desktop, laptop, or virtual machine for every robot that you build, because that's going to become a hassle. You need to have superior automation capabilities, not just for desktop applications, but also web applications, legacy applications like your mainframe you might still have. But you also need to keep in mind the changing environment with virtualized environments, for instance, through Citrix. You need to have all of that covered. You need to have an RPA solution that's part of an overall intelligent automation suite, because you need to bring the human back into the loop. You need to have more than just RPA. And the best example of that is, of course, document intelligence, because a lot of the information that's out there on the web, in your internal systems, in your DMS, is hidden away in unstructured content. So you need to have document intelligence, cognitive capture, and artificial intelligence in order to leverage that data that's hidden away there as well. So without further ado, let's jump into some demos, and I'll explain a bit more along the way. The first demo is actually going to be a demo that I'm going to be building from scratch. I'm going to show you how easy it is to build a robot without writing a line of code, where we are gathering information from a website, in this case the T1 Enterprises portal, where I need to log in, grab all of the orders, open up Excel sheets, and I'm going to be showing you how this can be done without leveraging a desktop for that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to log in. And this is exactly where we can leverage the built-in encrypted password vault within Kofax RPA, but we can also leverage an existing solution for that, like for instance with CyberArk. And as you can see, while I'm just interacting with this system, the robot already knows which steps it needs to remember. So I'll click on orders, and there we have the actual order environment ready to go. So I need to loop through these pages, and I'll need to loop through these tables there as well. So today I've got 3 pages, tomorrow could be 99, day after just 1, but I need to do something there, and I need to repeat something, and that something is going to be clicking the next button. So I click the next button, and then I can go to the next iteration. And if I can't find the next button, then I know I can break the loop. My work here is done. So if I then go back there, we now know that we can loop through this table, and Kofax RPA is, well, let's say intelligent enough to recognize, okay, we can just loop through this, exclude the first row, and we have that navigation there. So what do we then want to do for each one of these lines on each one of these pages? We want to open the order document, which in this case is an Excel sheet. So I want to download that Excel, I want to store that, and I also want to extract the PO number. There you have it. And I want to extract the total amount, the PO number and the total amount. In a real world scenario, you would of course want to extract much more, but in the interest of this demo, I just want to do this. And once we've done that, we want to return the actual values that we've extracted. There you have it. And well, this is actually our first robot. So one of the beautiful things about Kofax RPA is that you can immediately switch towards debug. So you can, as a citizen developer, immediately test and see if the robot you developed is working as you expected it would be. So we can just click test that, and you can see all of the data points coming in real time. And of course, this is my first version of that robot, and robot development is extremely iterative by definition almost. So I always focus on the Pareto principle. So I want to apply 20% of my time to automate 80% of my cases. And in this scenario, you can actually see that I've been able to, well, within a couple of minutes, build a robot that's able to automate 80% of the cases there already. And then the next iteration would focus on the remaining 20%. So then you were aiming at a 96% success rate, and well, the list goes on and on, of course, after that. So that's the first one. You saw how easy it is for me as a citizen developer to build a robot without writing a line of code. This robot will, of course, execute completely in memory on a server. So you don't need to worry about prepping a virtual machine or a laptop or a desktop for this. This will run in memory, so it's extremely scalable. The next scenario will actually be focused on a desktop application. I have a list of GL entries there, and I want to find the actual line items with that, but those are hidden away within SAP. So in this case, I will be using a desktop application, but the beauty is that that desktop that I'm going to be using can be shared amongst several robots, still focusing on a reduction of the VDI overhead and reduce the VDI footprint by approximately 80%. So let's dive in. So we have opened the Excel, and we are now going to show you how easy it is to interact with a desktop application as well. There you go. I'm just going to show you, make some room here so you can really see everything in motion. Let me zoom out, and you can already see that the first step has already been recognized by the robot. It knows I need to open up the SAP login right there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip towards the end for this step, which is actually going to show you how we log in. So we're opening up the login screen, we're opening up the system that we're interested in, and it's then gonna show us, okay, what the actual login environment will be. So we're logging in with the user, and again, that's pulled in from either CyberArk or the included encrypted password vault. But there you have it. We are logged in, and we can now start with actually extracting the right information. I can actually show you the machine that we are now automating. There you have it. And we can actually go back here and jump out of this part of the robots, and I'm just gonna let the robot continue on for the rest of the process, and we're gonna have a look at the system that we're automating. So you can actually see the robots now filling out these entry points. It's going to be looking for all of these line items that it's interested in, and it's going to store them either in a database. It could go back in an Excel sheet, and that's, of course, that's the thing that we've done in this scenario. So we're just going to write this into an Excel sheet and store that somewhere. And we are, of course, applying a lot of logic here as well. And in this case, we have direct access to the system. But imagine that this was done through Citrix, where you're actually not operating on a system, but you're actually just looking at the stream. There we apply our pedigree in artificial intelligence and neural networks. So we actually analyze the screen. So it's just as easy to automate against a Citrix application as a native application that's running on one of your virtual machines. So once that's done, we can open up the result Excel, and you can see that we've been able to extract all of that information directly from SAP. Then let's have a quick look at the next demo. That's why we're going to be focusing on unstructured data. So in this scenario, I'm going to be talking about the CDD use case actually that I mentioned at the start. Is I'm going to be using a robot to go out on Google and look for information on the person that we're interested in, and then determine based on natural language processing how positive or negative that person will be discussed in those articles. So again, this is something that you would then gather as part of a CDD investigation and put it in the report for further analysis. But here we actually apply artificial intelligence to do that analysis and put a sentiment to that. So what I have here is I'm actually doing an investigation on Scarlett Johansson, and we have a number of results when we Google her. And what we then do is we open up each one of these reports, and we then analyze those pieces of text. We look at what the overall sentiment is, and we then analyze what this sentiment towards, in this case, Scarlett Johansson is. And we can then immediately switch to debug, and we can test that from there. So the input is Scarlett Johansson. We start the robot. The robot will start by gathering all of these data points, all of these articles, and will then submit them for analysis by Kofax's document intelligence capability, which is built into Kofax RPA. And there we have the first results. I'm just actually going to show you a bit more there. So here we have a score of 0.8 approximately towards Scarlett Johansson. And when we talk about sentiment, we always have a score between -1 and +1, where -1 is very negative and +1 is extremely positive. So this is very positive there as well. The next result is also coming in 0.3, again slightly positive, and we just see that this goes on, and we can then use these data points as part of our CDD analysis. So we've seen how easy it is to combine document intelligence with RPA, and how you can then use that in a data aggregation use case. So those are the 3 demos that I wanted to show you. And just to quickly recap, what did you see me do? You saw me building a robot in a couple of minutes, interactively, no code needed, meant for a citizen developer. You saw how we were able to build robots that were able to run in memory, so without the need for a virtual machine. And you saw me when we did need a virtual machine, that didn't need to be a dedicated machine. So we can actually reduce the VDI footprint by 80%. You saw how we were able to automate web applications, desktop applications. You saw how we could use things like Citrix there as well. You saw how this all fits together within Kofax Intelligent Automation, and you saw live how we were combining document intelligence, cognitive capture, artificial intelligence with RPA. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you learned something there as well. If you have any questions, please reach out to your Kofax representative. So for now, I would say thanks for your time and take care.